Greetings and good morning to you all. Shalom if you're a saint. Welcome to this broadcast. As you can see, I'm wearing my hat. You see the Farmer Brown hat. Because I'm here working on my plants and the chickens that I have. But I have cause to continue to address Charles Ramson Jr., who doesn't seem to understand, or who would not understand, history. It's strange that he is a legal mind, should be one, and his background should have been in some way seasoned with history. Probably he was a science student and decided to get into law, hence he didn't have much to do with history. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with the situation to which I speak, Charles Ramson Jr. is an officer in the government of Guyana. He's considered a minister, as you would have senators and congressmen. He's a minister in the government of Guyana. Young man. Well, he's not yet a man. And he sought to make references to the need for more successful black men to be known and to be seen in Guyana. Charles Ramson is of East Indian or Indian descent. He's not an African. But he, as usual, would have sought to speak to situations regarding Africans in a manner that doesn't speak well to our history. I'm therefore here to give Ramson a brief lesson in history and the success of my history, or my history that is very successful. I bid you all shalom. I'm dressed this way this morning without my tie, without my jacket, because I want Ramson to note that I can be dressed this way and still be successful. That is not what he sold on 94.1 FM a few days ago. His story is that you have to be wealthy to be successful. So if I look like this and I don't appear to have wealth, then according to Ramson, the notion is that many black people mustn't look like me. You must look as if you're wealthy. You must have cars and so on to prove that you're wealthy. And then the wealth that you possess is what would be deemed success. Please, if you're kind enough, share this broadcast. I know you can hear me clearly because I'm not using my regular microphone that I normally would. But please share this broadcast if you can. And tag Ramson. Tag Jagdio. Tag Irfan Ali. Tag the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. So that they can know, they can understand, as those who are Africans would, and those who are of Indian descent with common sense would understand, that Ramson is a threat to our society. He's a threat to our people. He's a threat to unity in this country. Tag John Smith. Tag the ERC. So that those morons can understand that they should have dealt with Ramson and they should deal with Ramson now. Charles Ramson Jr., I know that you are watching me. Those of you in Eve Leary that would have to monitor my broadcast, and those of you who have been saddled with the task to monitor me in the police force, good morning to you all, as well as those in the military. If you're Africans doing this, maybe you need to hear and understand who your enemy is. I would never be your enemy. Whenever people ask me to introduce myself to them in an official capacity, as an African, I say to you that I'm mixed, but my dominant ethnicity is African. I present myself as the son of Errol London, A. Also the son of Walter London, who happens to be my grandfather. Then I say that I'm the son of kings and princesses, priests, and royalty. Why do I say that? I have never described myself as the son of a slave. I've never been the son of a slave. My history, Charles Ramson, as an African man, does not begin with slavery. I have descended biologically from extremely successful individuals. Why do you need a history lesson, Ramson? And I'm saying in the hashtag no, KNOW, your history. And then no, your history. Our history is different. That's why I'm speaking to you today. I'm speaking to you, Mr. Ramson, and all of those of your ilk, your man of thinking and your psyche, your paradigm, and your class. I'm speaking to you because you people need to learn that my history is not yours. And that your history is not superior to mine, it's actually inferior to mine. Do not feel belittled. Be informed. Because I believe that you're totally ignorant of history. That's why you speak like the asinine person you are. The Africans had to be dragged from their land. Guess why, Charles Ramson? Because they were successful people. I thought common sense would guide you, but you don't have it. Africans had to be dragged, killed. In some cases, they couldn't make it here because we were fighting. Why were they not desirous of leaving their motherland to come somewhere else? Because, Charles Ramson, they were successful. A king would not be okay with leaving a throne because some white man wants to take him somewhere. Get the picture here, Charlie? I don't think you would, so I need to spend some more time with you. The kings, the princes, the noblemen, the tribesmen, the successful Africans who were scientists before you understood what the word science means. Those who were, even though they were enslaved, they invented things like detergent, like soap, to clean the skin of the white man. You don't know that, so I'll have to help you. The Africans who built the pyramids. Caucasians didn't build pyramids. None of the movies fool you, Charlie. The sphinxes that you see, they broke the noses off. They disfigured many of them because they couldn't accept the fact that broad-nosed people like me could build such structures. Of global significance. As a result of that, Mr. Charles Ramson, they were dragged. They were dragged into slavery. They didn't choose to be slaves. They were dragged. They were shackled. And I'm repeating it because you need to understand your history. Your history as opposed to mine. Africans who were brought to the third world, to the new world, by the concept of the slave, what you call the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade. Listen to me, preacher. Let me make it clear to you. Those African people didn't want to be here. The women of Africa didn't want to be here because they were princesses. They were queens, some of them. Others were successful mothers. They lived in civilizations that the world still tries to figure out how they functioned. They were architects. They were farmers. So when the Caucasians came to remove them from their places of safety, from their places of success, they rebelled because they did not want to leave that environment. The problem we have in Guyana is that when people begin to teach like this, some of you get uncomfortable because you think it's racism. And that's why you're so shallow in how you behave. History is not racism. History is truth. History is not racism. Somebody needs to type that for Charles and jag you on these people. History is not racism. History is truth. My history does not begin at slavery. And what is even more important to note is that the slaves, though they became, have the greatest success story in the world, because you stripped us of everything we possessed. You sought to dehumanize us, as Ali did when he said the people who don't have the vaccine are worse than a virus. That's dehumanizing, by the way. You sought, these Caucasians and Europeans sought to dehumanize. Actually, they did say that slaves are not even human beings. Africans are not people, they're cattle. If you didn't know that, know it. Those who are in the USA, know your history. We were reduced from being called people into being called cattle. Now, although that happened, would you believe that the Africans still, though they were slaves for hundreds of years, we were still able to rebound? Because kings and princesses do not need thrones to be kings and princesses. The problem with you, Ramson, is that you need money to be successful. Because your history doesn't have wealth in it. Now let me address you and your history. The Africans had to be dragged here in shackles. Those who refused were killed. Your history, sir, begins with indentureship. And or before indentureship, your history, Mr. Ramson, has in it deletes, untouchables. In essence, you're nothing. My history began with my being something. Your history began with your being considered nothing and untouchable. In India, you are nothing. That's a fact. You came from the deletes. So you, in history, in the loins of your forefathers, would have been happy to come here to work for a few dollars, a few cents, because you were too poor to earn anything in India. That's not racism, that's history. So that is why throughout your years of existence, you always strive for wealth, because you never had it in your history. There's a caste system, C-A-S-T-E, in India. And in the caste system in India, the wealthy were never indentured servants. The wealthy in India didn't have to come here. They weren't captured to come here. Note the similarity. In Africa, the wealthy would have had to be captured to be brought here because they wouldn't leave their wealth to come anywhere. But in India, the wealthy weren't captured. The middle class were not captured. Even the lower class weren't captured. Because after the lower class, you have what's called the deletes or the untouchables. They weren't captured. They were willingly, as Irfan Ali said, they came for a better life. Exactly. He knows the truth. Africans didn't come for a better life. They were taken from the best life they had. No, your history didn't begin with success. Your history began with caste systems ruling you. Now imagine you would sit with the likes of that 94.1 FM idiot. And in his face you can tell him that because whoever is from Plaisance, they need success stories. You must be the most asinine person this country has in existence. Plaisance, where my grandfather resided. Plaisance, where Eddie Grant, do you know the name Eddie Grant? You moron. Eddie Grant is a world-renowned singer. And you say Plaisance needs history, a story of history, of success? Plaisance was purchased by slaves who were freed, sir. Let me teach you this, young man. Why? Because the slaves who were free still understood that they could buy villages. It registers you yet? Has it occurred to you yet that though people were enslaved and treated like they were as though they weren't human beings, once they were free, they still had in their mind business sense to buy villages? That's not successful. So when you can purchase a village so people can live and own it, after they stripped you of your rights in Africa, made you somebody who they say is not a human being, when they freed you, although they didn't truly free the slaves, but in context, when they freed the people The slaves decided, okay then, we free now, we'll buy land from you all. We'll buy land from our oppressors and we'll own the land. You don't see in that the genealogy of history, of success? The slaves were business people before they got here. So they understood the power of owning land. Once they were free, they started to purchase villages. Because they were naturally business oriented. They understood the potency of ownership because they had it before they were dragged away from it. Indentured servants, on the other hand, came to Guyana, came to the Caribbean for a better life, quoting Irfan Ali. They were brought here because they didn't have wealth where they were. So they were offered a meager sustenance in reference to money, and they rushed at it. They grabbed at it. Oh wow, let's go take this. Because they were eager to earn something, since the way they were in India, since where they were in China, they owned nothing. Which one of us, Ramson, has a history of success? That's it, Brother Aubrey, exactly. Big Truck was a world champion. Braffit, world champion. Which one of us, Mr. Ramson, has a history of success? And which one has a history of poverty? Which one? Which one of us has a history of success? And which one has a history of poverty? You see, the ERC, the Ethnic Relations Commission, should sit you down and teach you history and make you go live and talk about history. Because those slaves were in that position for 400 plus years in some cases, they never lost the power to inform generations of where they came from. That is why when they were freed, they were ready to buy villages, because their history is rife with success stories. Now you see, some of you who are of Indian descent will be upset and you'll be hurt because you can't deal with history. So what you try to do is, you try your best to belittle individuals of African descent. And that is what the PPP Civic Administration has mastered. They have brought you down to a place of thinking that you need an inherently racist party to lead you. And that when they give you a few dollars as a black man, you're successful. That's what you all have reduced yourself to. And that one who sat and in Ramson's face in 94.1 FM, either Ballers or Ferguson, whatever your name is, who sat and heard Ramson disrespecting people. And yes, Pleasance needs success stories. The reason why you do that is because of the money that you stand to gain, apparently. Because the whole discussion was about contracts and success in terms of wealth, which is money. That could be had if black men are given the chance to do what they're doing, with the PPP is giving black men a chance to own or to be wealthy. First of all, you don't give me a chance to be wealthy. You, Ramson, Jaglio, Ali, and all y'all, you don't give any African the chance to be wealthy. Because wealth does not lie in what we possess financially. Wealth lies in who we are naturally. And based on history, we are naturally wealthy people. Because there's nothing, even slavery, hundreds of years of murder could make us unwealthy or impoverished. Couldn't remove the wealth from us. Couldn't strip us of what we possess. Imagine an African man would sit in a studio, and since Ramson called you black, I call you black because you're African. You don't even know who you are. You're not black. You're African. Ramson speaks of his kind as being East Indian. And you're not East Indian either because you're not from the East. You're from Guyana. You're Guyanese. But since you want to go through that, Ramson refers to his history as East Indian. He refers to Chinese history as Chinese. He refers to Portuguese history as people, oh, you're Portuguese. But when it comes to us, Ramson calls us black. And you moron in 94.1 FM would sit there and have a man disrespect you to that extent because you're stupid and you like money. That's the problem with y'all. You're the problem in 94.1 FM, and it's time people call you out. I'm kidding, none of y'all. And if you don't know who I am, call me. I tell you all the time, put my number for him, 6003792. Anyone here from 94.1 FM, call my phone and tell me I shouldn't say something to you. And then put me live and let me repeat what I'm saying to you. You have participated in the dishonor of yourself as a man because of money. That's what you did. Put my number for Ferguson and Bullers, whoever the name is, to call me if they want to call me. 6003792. I'm sick of y'all and the stupidness. Please share the broadcast. Hit your screen, tap on the screen, you see share button at the bottom left. Share it, please. Share it for them to hear that somebody in Guyana isn't afraid to speak to these people as they should be spoken to in the first place. You have a minister of culture, of all things. Culture. Sitting in your face telling you that you're black. But he's describing himself as East Indian. Do you see the difference? East India is a geographical location. Black is not a location. Africa is a place. Black is not a place. So Ramson could call you black. But he can describe himself as East Indian? And the ERC can't deal with this yet? Well, since Ramson called you black, I'll talk to you about black. Or as if you're black. You cannot tell me that anyone has the right to disrespect my history. And I should be quiet about it. The issue in our nation is that Africans are afraid to be called racist when they speak proudly of who they are. And that is your problem. In the US, they did the same thing to you all. They make you feel as if once you speak about Africans, oh, you racist. But when they talk about the Mayflower and how they came, oh my God, we adventurers. But when we speak about our history, oh, you racist. You shouldn't speak like that about black people. Get over it. Get over it. My history, Shalom Ab, good to see you. My history is successful. My history has scientists in it. My history has got architects in it. My history has engineers in it who aren't given a chance. My history is so rich, Ramson, that Caucasians had to steal some of it and brand it as theirs. That never happened to indentured servants. So get your head together. So there had to be a great effort made, and still has to be a great effort made, to catch up in terms of wealth to what my history has in it. I do not need money to be considered wealthy. The fact that I know my history, I'm in myself wealthy. The fact that you cannot make me feel as if I was a slave makes me wealthy. The fact that you cannot adjust my history to make me think that for 1 second my forefathers were brought here willingly makes me wealthy. You don't have that success. You don't have that story to tell. It doesn't matter who you take me before. You could take me before a judge and I tell the judge the same thing, that you, Charles Ramson, your history began as a delete, because no one of the higher class in caste, CASTE, in India was brought here. No one from the middle caste was brought here. No one from the lower caste was brought here, because it was indentureship. It was a business arrangement. So only the deletes, the nobodies of India were brought here. Now, when I talk to you like this, that's when you're rushed to say, oh, we want Guyana. We must be Guyanese. We must love each other, because you don't like the history. Now, you also went on, Ramson, to speak to house lots. And the PPP Civic gave house lots and promised 50,000 house lots. What, 40 by 80? 50 by 100? 50 feet by 100 feet? House lot? We own empires, you moron. How you talking about black people are treated better on the PPP because they got house lots? Little boy, we own empires. The Egyptian empire, African in nature. And you talking about house lot? So how many more success stories do we need? You have the view that you could give somebody 50 by 80, 50 feet by 80 feet. With my history and it's called impressive. You all let these people do it to you, that's why they can do these things to you. You have allowed these people to think that what they're doing to you is some favor. And you didn't give anybody a house lot. It's our land. How could you give people a house lot? It's Guyana's land. It's Guyana. It is not a PP's land. So you can't give me any house lot. You can allot a plot of land to somebody to build a house on, but you can't give anybody a house lot. It's not your land. House lot? I promise you, don't look at these tadpoles on the broadcast. The tadpoles who come on my page, they have to come and speak in that manner because they cannot face history. They cannot deal with the fact. The fact that Africans' history is rich with scientific successes. Even financially, gold, diamonds, where do they get it from? You bat, you moron, where do they get the diamonds? And even now, the Caucasians have to go into the mines of Africa. Gold and diamonds, rubies and pearls, that was natural to us. I am asking one of y'all, one of you on this broadcast, who come to defend Ramson, to name one bit of wealth that your country ever produced. When you came here as deletes, when you came here as indentured servants, what did you have? So when you want to speak about house lots, Ramson, here's where I want you to pay some attention. Can you tell all of Guyana, how is it possible for the average political figure in this country to tell us that it's one house lot per family, but they possess 3, 4, 5 and more house lots? How is it one house lot per family for us? But they could build mansions on a 3 and 4 house lot area. House lot? House lot. When Africans purchased villages, Victoria, Belladrum, Buxton Triumph area, Plaisance, no, leave him. Leave Veer Muhammad so he can suffer and choke. I like telling him his history because it makes him feel terrible. Hence, he has to dive into the gutter, I said, and behave like the typical roach that he is. You weren't born and bred, B-R-E-A-D. Bread is food that you eat. You are B-R-E-D, Veer Muhammad. You don't even understand. I know that. Based on your history, you don't even understand how to spell. Because Africans are the ones who invented writing. Egypt again. Egypt are the persons who invented writing and alphabets. Your history doesn't have that in it. So I know you can't spell. So let me help you. You were born and bred, B-R-E-D, Veer Muhammad. Not bread. You want it in the oven. Pablo Esco, champ. Champ, end of the U. Sound racial. What that's supposed to mean? That's a problem. See what I told you? I leave them on this page for this reason. Because once you begin to speak truthfully to history, you're racist. That's why the likes of John Smith won't touch this. They don't want to do it because once you begin to speak the truth, oh, you're racist. I told you that. Did I not just tell you that? This is the problem. The minute you begin to address African history, you're racist. Oh, but when the Indian monument was opened by Camp Street, oh, we're going to have remembrance of our history. But I can't talk about my history. Do you understand what I'm telling to you this morning? The moment I speak the truth as to where I came from, as opposed to Ramson, I'm racist. Didn't I just tell you they come on my page and say that? They can't help it. Because my history is richer than yours. That's a fact. Pablo Esco says because you make it sound like African own the entire Ghana. Africans own Africa. That's what I said. Africans, not black, own Africa. They were dragged from Africa. Those who were brought here as indentured servants owned nothing. They were called the elites. And the Chinese were little people running around as peasants. Peasants weren't brought from Africa. My history will always make you uncomfortable, the likes of Ramson. That's what I'm telling you all. That's why throughout history, in the USA, in the UK, in Haiti, in France, in Europe and other places, what have they done? Even in Africa, they have made it their duty to present Africans as if they have need, because you hate our history. Do they show the wealth of Rwanda? Do they show the wealth of the Congo? Do they show the wealth of Ghana? Do they show the beautiful cities that were constructed by Africans? No! They show a little poor starving African child and say, would you please send $1 per day to help this child? And even you evangelists, you Caucasian evangelists, do the same foolishness. You go and present stories of poverty from Africa and the white man went to help. Who bought lands from Africans in Guyana? Who? Well, let me teach you then. The Portuguese, in the early history of our country, were made to buy land from Africans. They didn't own it. But it was so difficult for Africans to do business because of the Caucasians principle. They made it difficult, so Portuguese began to open all kinds of businesses around Guyana. That's what happened. And the Chinese, then the Indians. because efforts were being made and still are being made to oppress a people who were born in success. We didn't become successful. We were born into success. Do you hear the difference? We didn't become successful. We were born into success. And you can't stand it. So I'll make you get mental, intellectual diarrhea. You're going to choke on this fact this morning. We were born into success. We didn't become successful. We didn't have to try to be successful. Even when we were brought as slaves, though we were kings and priests and princesses and rulers, tribesmen and women, architects and doctors, who do you think tried their best to make us nothing? We did it to ourselves. We don't need more success stories. What we need is for you to deal with your story and see how your story was created to make us look as if we're unsuccessful. We don't need more success stories. What we need is for you to deal with the truth. And the truth is that even in the banking system, it is tailored, as one very, very wealthy African businessman in Guyana said. And he dared them to this day they can't do it. He said, based on who he is, he challenged the banks to make known the ethnic division in reference to offers made for loan percentages, interest rates. He said he's African, he faced some serious challenges in reference to getting loans from the banks in Guyana. Hence he said to them, I challenge you all, present at what interest rate you give me a loan as opposed to other businessmen. They can't do it up until today. They cannot do it until today because they know the truth. House lot? Ramson? When you give a Guyanese a house lot, as you say, you give Guyanese house lots, do you not send us the banks? And don't the banks say, nowadays you have these little roaches and clowns hopping around the place, though they're gods and goddesses in banks. And they want to tell you who, in essence, how your house must be built. They scrutinize every process because Guyanese do not have, on average, the means to build a house out of their pocket. That issue has been created because of a simple fact. That there's systematic and systemic oppression in this nation. There is a system in place to ensure that Africans who don't know themselves would remain impoverished mentally. And until leaders in this country arise with courage to say that we will talk about our history, though we respect each other, we shall talk about our history and respect the same. See the difference? We will talk about our history, but we shall respect each other. I am not going to deny my history to make it appear as if, once I speak about it, then I offend you. If my history, which I can't control, offends you, you racist. Please type that for some of these tadpoles and roaches, rodents, and donkeys on my page. If my history offends you, you are racist. And you can see who they are. If my history offends you, you are racist. So there's another fool who follows me, another donkey named Marlon Tommy. What's his name? Where is he? Yes, Marlon Tommy. Why you don't talk about Burnham 28 years in power? explain a little bit? Sure I can, no problem. Forbes Burnham. And when I challenge you, Marlon Thomas, I accept the challenge from you. Now I challenge you when I finish speaking, and I promise you my life that you can't answer me honestly, because you're that stupid. So here's the test. I'll talk about Burnham, no problem. Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, A, was so successful that when he and Cheddi Jagan went to speak to the Queen of England about independence, guess who she said must speak? Burnham, not Cheddi. Know your history. That's the first point. The Queen of England listened to Forbes Burnham's speech, and based on that she said, this country deserves to be independent. B, Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, under his leadership, created the most agricultural industries in this country in terms of food processing, infrastructural development. There is no other leader in this nation who has constructed more highways than Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham under his leadership. Can you name another one, Marlon Tommy? Let's go here if you want us to go here. Under Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, the most highways to ever be constructed in this country were under his watch. Can you name one other president in this country? Did Jagan do it? No. Jagan inherited infrastructure from Burnham. Definitely not Jagdeo. Ramatar still can't figure out who he is. Irfan Ali can't even build a chicken coop in reference to vision. So you tell me, let's start with infrastructure. Tell me, let's start with infrastructure then. Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham built under his watch the most in reference to infrastructural development in Guyana. He constructed what are called multilateral schools. You don't know what that means, I'll teach you. Multilateral means that a child can be in the school, one doing science, one is a hardcore industrial student, which we take work, like metal work. That's where some of you got your trade from Burnham School, because you had lathes in the high schools. Imagine in my high school, in Ramson Multilateral School, there was a lathe machine that you could cut. We learned to cut metal on the lathe. You had drills, the high power drills, the best of the best. Burnham had the woodworking section. That's where you learned joinery in the high school. He had a home economics department. You could learn to sew. You learn to cook. You learn home management in the high school. You moron, since you asked me a question, I'll talk about Burnham 28 years, no problem. Burnham had sugarcane fields. He was never against sugar workers. Since you want me to talk history, let me talk history to you. Jagan used to tell him to burn the cane fields to be against Burnham. You moron, you idiot. Since you asked me, I'll tell you. Burnham never told people to burn a cane field. Jagan told them to burn cane fields. I don't care your opinion. Don't dumb down now, Marlon Tommy. Talk to me since you want to go up there with Burnham. I talk to you about Burnham. Who instituted the University of Guyana? Who started technical institutes? Since you want to go by Burnham, Burnham built University of Guyana and said that no Guyanese must pay $1 to be educated. You moron. Who said after Burnham, you'll have to pay? Jagan did. Jagan broke Article 26 of the law when he said that we have to pay for education at university. That's against the law up until today. The law of Guyana prohibits anybody having to pay $1 for education. Jagan broke the law. Bharat broke the law. Ramatar broke the law. Irfan Ali is still breaking the law. You want to talk about Burnham? Burnham made some of y'all doctors in Guyana for free. Who sent Jagdeo to Russia to study? Burnham. Talk that. If Burnham is so racist, why did he send Bharat Jagdeo to Russia to study? Do you know that Bharat Jagdeo is love Forbes Burnham and mirrors Burnham in his behavior in reference to certain policies? Oh, it hurts you now. Huh? No, Marlon told me you brought up Burnham in the discussion. I was going fine until you decided to talk about Burnham. You told me I must talk about Burnham. I'm like, well. No problem. Forbes Burnham made some of your lawyers through free education, and now you have us paying to be lawyers. My father had to put his house and all kind of foolishness up because, oh, you have to lodge something as security to get a loan from UG. What foolishness you telling me? Who did that to us? Who did that to their own people? Burnham did it to his people. Burnham empowered Africans, Indians, Chinese, Portuguese, mixed race, all of them. Amerindians. Chedi Jagan came and made his own people have to pay to be educated. Which one is worse? You all like to call Burnham name. So since you won't call him Burnham's name, I'll help you with Burnham. Burnham started agro industries in Guyana. Processing plants. You know, Burnham, are we suffer? No, Burnham wicked. Oh, but now you're seeing rice flour. That you say, Burnham, suffer we. Burnham make we eat rice flour. Rice flour is now sold in supermarkets. And it costs more than wheat flour. Oh, so suddenly, you could process the same rice that Burnham said you should do in the first place. You could process cassava flour, Edo flour, plantain flour, banana flour. Oh, it's suddenly good when you could sell it, huh? When you could take Burnham's vision and market it, it's good for you. But when he was doing it and told you I'll do it for free, no, he was evil. Forbes Burnham never gave anybody house lot and say go to the bank to build a land. Forbes Burnham had what's called the Feed, Clothe and House the Nation principle and policy. Burnham had self-help implemented in Ghana, where in places like Babis, Linden and other places, people got together and built each other's homes for free. The kiln bricks, the orange bricks that are the strongest in the world. Burnham, under him, that was developed at IEST in these places. So let's talk then. Since you want me to talk about Burnham, I'll give you a history of Forbes Burnham. Burnham never gave anybody no 50 by 80 house lot. And say go to Republic Bank, go to Citizens Bank, or go to Demerara Bank. And whichever bank you name, that's where you have to go for a loan. Burnham never did that. Burnham said you shall build with your hands in your community. Burnham implemented what was called the self-help housing schemes, where people built houses for free for each other. You tell me when Chedi ever did that. Tell me when Jaguar ever implemented anything called self-help in here. Melody Damashana example. Tugboat Park and those places in Rizrock were built by self-help. Rizrock, if I'm not mistaken, to in Linden. You tell me, you talk to me and tell me when East Rheinveld was built by self-help. Self-help. You tell me when Chedi Jagan ever implemented self-help in Guyana. When has Jaguar ever told you about self-help in Guyana? When? When has Desmond Hoyt? When has David Granger? All of them in the same boat. That's why I don't like any one of them. Because they have disrespected the legacy of Forbes Burnham. So you tell me, are you still here, Marlon? Tell me, because you asked me to talk about Burnham, see how long I can talk about Burnham. Y'all don't play with that. I'm one guy who doesn't shy away from Forbes Burnham because I understood his philosophy. When you travel down the Linden Highway, the Suzaik Linden Highway, there's a factory that used to make glass in Guyana. It was just located in the wrong place, so the planes would shadow it and so on, but Burnham had glass factory. The textile mill, the Jagdio, I think it was under his watch, sold to one of his friends or give some friend to take over. Burnham had that in place. We made shoes for ourselves. Under Forbes Burnham, we assembled a ladder car. You tell me under which other president Guyana ever assembled a vehicle. We had a Caloi bicycles from, I think it was from Brazil, where Burnham implemented a factory in New Amsterdam. You tell me. He facilitated the development of industries, like even he wanted us to go be industrial. So we assembled a car called Lada. Marlon Tommy says, sorry, and don't get work up. I get work up anytime. You don't control that because you started it. And because you once started, I'll finish it. Forbes Burnham Lyndon Forbes Ramson Burnham. I remember going to science fairs in Guyana. Exhibitions, not even fairs. I remember on the Burnham as a little boy. My father would take me to see the kerosene refrigerators that were developed in Guyana. In Guyana. There has never been a housing scheme in Guyana. No, I talk about Burnham because you're asking to talk about Burnham. I ain't stopping now. There's never been a housing project in Guyana under Forbes Burnham where the road was incomplete. Never. And you didn't have no quarter-inch surface and truck mash up anybody road. In some places the road was concrete first. In others it was paved with the clay bricks. Don't talk about Burnham. The carambola fruit we call five finger, Burnham said, listen, you package this thing and sell it. No, Burnham, we don't want that. Now they have it in cans to be sold overseas. The tapir, exactly. The tapir van, it looks like a tapir, like the wild cow, like a bush cow. That was assembled in Guyana. What are you telling me? Now name one other president after Burnham who did that. Name one. Jagdeo, never. Ali, impossible. Ramatar, cannot. So talk to me since you want to start the conversation. Let's talk then. You name one other president who did what Burnham did. And Ramson could talk about success story. Who could be more successful than Forbes Burnham? Who? We made radios in Guyana. Cotton. Oh, Burnham want to make we slaves. Don't worry with national service. Burnham want to make you slave. That's why you got to go into national service. That's how shallow people were. Burnham is communist, but yet Guyana government is bowing to China. China is led by what is called the Chinese Communist Party. Do you hear that? Burnham is communist. Burnham is evil. But China, who Guyana is doing business with now and bowing to and taking loans from and getting gifts from, China is led by the Chinese Communist Party. That's the name of the party. So you can't act with the communists. But Burnham is communist. Burnham bad. But Chinese, who are in this country owning everything just about, is led by the Chinese Communist Party. But Burnham is bad. Burnham is communist. But Guyana could do business with the Chinese Communist Party. You're hypocrites. That's what you all are. You're hypocrites. Charles Ramson, I told you before. Ramson, Jagdeo, Irfan Ali, and them. You can't talk to me about my history. You are disqualified. I told you that before. You cannot speak to me about African history. You're disqualified. Rather, I should show you cannot represent me as an African, not me. Until you admit to my history, until you admit to the fact that Africans were never slaves historically. We became slaves as a part of history, but we didn't begin as being slaves. If you cannot admit to that, you could never represent me. So Tommy, I tell you about Burnham. I could tell you about the man who has educated you and your fathers, if you're old enough, for free, from nursery to university, who spent the government's money to train Bara Jagdeo. I could tell you about him, and he's racist. And he's racist. Burnham told Caucasians that you are not going to come here and take the bauxite industry, take everything we have, and just leave. He said 51% shall be owned by Guyana. You take 49. Or get out. See the difference? You didn't say, okay, then we have employment opportunities. If I like to talk about, job opportunities. We have job opportunities. So come on, come, y'all just take everything you want from Guyana and go. No, Bonham said, no, you're not doing that. He said Guyana shall own 51%, or get. Charles Ramson, this is a lesson for you. I'd advise you to put your phone down and stop talking like a fool. Because until you open your mouth, I would think you had sense. But once you talk, once you open your mouth, I realize that you are so daft that it's almost irreparable. Forbes Burnham never once encouraged Guyanese to destroy anything in this nation. He encouraged them to build the nation. Chetty said to burn the cane fields, hence they could have less crop. Burnham never did that. The rice farmers in this country were given paddy for free under Burnham. They were given, the banks were created under Burnham for agro industries. Don't come with him, because every other president, including Desmond Hoyt, David Granger, have failed Guyanese. Don't talk about Burnham. Burnham ensured that under his watch, there would be a special bank created just to help farmers. Now let me see. Who in this country are typically farmers? Africans or Indians? Who normally farmers? Indians. And Burnham created a bank just for you people. And he was racist? When the banks now in this country are geared towards oppressing Africans, naturally that's what they do. Burnham, on the other hand, was hit with sanctions. And because of the sanctions that crippled him, there was no way that Guyana could have gotten out of it without Guyanese ensuring, like Cuba, that we're going to work together. That's what happened. Now, do I agree with everything Burnham did? Absolutely not. Who would agree with everything a president does? But you can't touch him when it comes to policies to develop Guyana. Don't go there. He and Chetty had their own battles regarding election, and as friends, they were bosom buddies. He outwitted Chetty, and that's what they call rigging, as they say. Burnham outsmarted Chetty every time. That's all that happened. Do I support it? No. But what did he know? I believe that Burnham in his heart knew, and we saw it happen, that Chetty was incapable of leading this country in reference to policies to develop the nation. Look what Zarina said. My grandmother said Indian people get rich because of Burnham. That's a fact, sis. I live in New Amsterdam for 8 years, and I know I'm telling you to be the Imber beast. I tell you the truth. Farmers and others went into the banks, and nobody could tell them they can't get loan to plant their rice. Burnham didn't tolerate that with these banks. The GNCB, the Guyana National Cooperative Bank, was established to mainly help farmers. Come on, man. My point is, be fair. Can we all talk like this? The only thing I had an issue with was Burnham's electoral policies, because they were geared towards what Tommy said. You get me wrong. I never said Burnham was racist. My uncle was the minister. So what are you saying? You never said Burnham was racist. My uncle was Minister of Agriculture, Vival Parvatan. So don't get me wrong. I said racist? I never said you said he was racist. You said I must talk about Burnham for 28 years. That's what I'm talking about. I never said you said he was racist. No, Tommy. I'm speaking to his accomplishments. You said I must talk about Burnham for 28 years, so that's what I'm doing. I'm speaking to his accomplishments. And I dare you to name one other president. Jagan, Janet, Hoyt, Granger, Irfan Ali, Barra Jagdeo. Name one other president who did more for Guyana than Forbes Burnham. That's what I said. Name one. When we had issues with flooding, Burnham under his watch started the Mahaika Myconia Barri District, the MMA ADA project. What he did, drainage and irrigation, the most extensive drainage program under his watch. Which other president? They inherited that. They didn't build on it. So Tommy, I took your challenge and I explained Burnham's rulership for 28 years. Can you tell me who, apart from Burnham, did more? I dare you, Tommy. I'll wait for you to tie before I go. Name it, man. Name one. You name one other president that did more for Guyana than Forbes Burnham. That's what I said to do. We ain't have to fight over this. Let's go. You name one. Thank you, Tommy. You're honest. No one. That's an honest man. I respect you for that. So Marlon Tommy has responded, no one. Exactly my point. So it means, therefore, that if we speak to success, Forbes Burnham is the most successful president. I told you, don't miss me. I never agreed to Burnham's electoral policies. But I'm saying to you that I could see why he was so bent on ruling, because he knew that Cheddi Jagan could not do what he did. And it's a fact. Under Cheddi Jagan, he removed free education. Come on now. Cheddi Jagan removed free education for Guyanese. Desmond Hoyt, Granger, continued the foolishness. None of our children must pay to go to university in this country. We are too small of a nation to have to pay for education. What foolishness are you telling me? Now you have oil money, and you still have to pay $5 million, I think it is, per year for your child to be a doctor? In this country? Why? If you want our children to do well, Guyana is a small population, has a small population. Why must I find $5 million just about for my daughter to go to university to be a doctor? Why should I do it? These people have failed us as Guyanese. Every last one of them. And that is why you hear me say to you all the time that there's nobody on this planet that could tell me who did better for Guyana than Burnham. None of y'all could tell me it. Because nobody else had free education under their watch. I think Desmond Hoyt was the last one. But what would Charles Ramson call success? If you are able to build a hotel, you're successful. If you are able to buy a Range Rover, you're successful. If you're able to own a few buildings, you're successful. Burnham permitted people to develop businesses, develop industries. He created industries for all Guyanese. So don't touch him. What y'all don't want to talk about is how many people stole things on the Burnham's watch to have businesses now. You don't want to talk about that part. How many thieves were not there under his watch? And they became wealthy. Today is my rough day, by the way. That's why you see him. Like I said, I dress this way for Ramson to see how success looks. It doesn't have to have a shirt and a tie and drive a Mercedes Benz. Oh, I did all of that. Owning Mercedes Benz didn't make me successful. So let's not go here. On the Burnham's watch, Guyana was never labeled a narco state. Under Desmond Hoyt, Guyana was never labeled a narco state. Under Cheddi Jagan, Guyana was never labeled a narco state. Under Janet Jagan, Guyana was labeled a narco state. So let me tell you, under who it was labeled a narco state, and then you tell me who did worse for Guyana. Who built medical centers and hospitals across this nation? Across the nation. Under whose watch? Can you tell me? And who said that no Guyanese must pay for medical treatment? Who? Who said that? Who? Who trained doctors for free? Some of your fathers included in it. And you want to have a success story? Who did that? Who said that, okay, Guyana must have a legal system that's powerful, potent, and comparable to any nation across this world? And to have that done, I will train them for free at the University of Guyana. Who did that? Burnham did, if you didn't know that. Burnham, that was his vision, to send them overseas to England and these places to study law. So how you could talk to me about a man who did that much? How can y'all even risk coming down the road with me? And Ramson could tell me about Guyana needs more success stories, more black success stories. You eyes past me, a country how Guyanese speak. You're disrespectful. You're a disrespectful boy. If ever a president of this nation does not restore free education, now you're a criminal. You're breaking the law. Irfan Ali is breaking the law of Guyana as we speak. He is disregarding the constitution, which prohibits any Guyanese having to pay for education. Tion is asking, do you think these Guyanese will get back to those days? Yes, we can. But we have to change how we think. Only independent minds can fix Guyana. And that's why I said it. That's why I said last year, calendar year, that I'll be back, or I will be more visible publicly. Because I realize where this country is going. If nobody decides to speak up, we're in trouble. Granger did nothing that could even be closely compared to Burnham, because he never freed us of certain burdens. For me, he added them. He added to them. That's why Ramson could be disrespectful, because Granger allowed certain foolishness to happen in this country. That's why Ramson could talk the way he talks. This nation can only be redeemed apart from Yahweh's grace. And I'm speaking to you in a human perspective here. This nation can only be restored by independent minds. You can't be a lackey and a crony, suck up to these politicians and think that you get out of it, because they keep you right where you are. Burnham never taxed your salary 33% or 25%. Let's talk about that. It was under Jagan that Asghar Ali implemented a 33% tax on Guyanese as you earn. Burnham never did that, because Chedi Jagan had no policy to get Guyana economically developed. So what he had to do was to tax you to develop the nation. But you all hate Burnham though. And you can't understand what Burnham did for you. Ready for this now? Exactly. You feel any Russian could come to Guyana and have gold mined every day, blowing down our trees and damaging our river? You feel Burnham would do anybody to cause the Ezekiel River to become as polluted as it is? And they're not even Guyanese? You feel Burnham would have all these Chinese coming, cutting our trees and taking lumber away from Guyana, then process it in China? They take our lumber for next to nothing. Then they process the wood in China and make almost 500 or more percent on our lumber. You feel Burnham would take that? This government is doing it to you. You remember Bai Shenling? Bai Shenling, I think it is, has 75% of the gold claims in this country, massive gold claims. And he came to cut tree. You feel Burnham would allow people to do that to you? If Yahweh ever permits me to have any position of leadership in this country, that has to be fixed. Because you're only going to do that foolishness. There's no Russian who will come here and take gold from Guyana.
and treat our Guyanese like nobody. Chinese in the gold fields now. These people are coming to your country and raping your environment, destroying your trees, destroying your wildlife, and just leave. It was under Asghar Ali's watch where Guyanese began to be taxed 1/3 of their salary. You understand what I said to you? Burnham never did that to Guyanese. He never taxed us to the point of poverty. Never. Even though we had economic constraints, he didn't do it. You tell me then, how could Cherry Jagan be good for Guyana when Cherry Jagan allowed us to be taxed 33% of our salary? Because he had no vision to do anything better. You could tell Burnham. You could tell me anything about Burnham. It was under PPP where vehicles were, when you bring it in the country, you had to pay 200+% to drive it. It's on the PPP where they implemented this cost invoice and freight foolishness, where when you bring your vehicle in, the duty on your vehicle costs more than the vehicle. If I buy a car for $500 from Japan now, on the PPP Civic, I still have to pay sometimes $1,200 US, $2,000 US. You want to talk about who's bad for Guyana? Burnham made the cars right here. He wanted to have a manufacturing plant, facility, an assembly line for vehicles. That was his vision. The tapir was made here. The ladder was assembled here. Look what these people did after Burnham. Now you have to pay, good morning Odessa, now you have to find 200 to 300% to pay for a vehicle to bring in this country when Burnham was building it here. Burnham said we'll have our vehicles built here. The PPP Civic said no, you'll pay 200 to 300% to bring a vehicle in from China, from Japan, and that makes sense to you all. And that makes them more successful. When you speak this way, they call you racist because you cannot address the facts. I am not racist. I'm honest. If you like me, please type that for them. I am not racist. I'm honest. I am not racist. I'm honest. No, tell the truth. If you're racist, don't type that. But please type that for me. I am not racist. I am honest. And that's how you must live your life. If I can't be truthful with you, I should not be a friend. I am not racist. I am honest. David Granger allowed it. Under his watch, we continue to pay for vehicles to be imported to our peril. I think they reduced the tax ceiling to about 25% or some foolishness. I don't care what you reduce it to. We shouldn't have to pay the kind of taxes in Guyana. First, we are too wealthy for it. In the first place, we should not be paying the kind of taxes. I am not racist, but why can't I be honest? If you hate my honesty, then you have to be racist yourself. That includes you Africans too. How are you mad at me because I understand my history? I am not racist, I am just an honest person. And honestly speaking, I didn't determine that I'd come out into this world looking like an African. That was my choice. And I'm not going to despise my people because okay, if you speak this way then they call you racist. Call me what you want. I'm an honest person. And the truth is that it was under the PPP Civic where taxation crippled Guyanese. That's a fact. Because they had no economic policies for you to grow, so they had to tax you to get money. That never happened under Forbes Burnham's watch. He never did that. Desmond Hoyt didn't do that. Desmond Hoyt was interviewed by Bernard Shaw on CNN. He said, after Guyana would have suffered so many years of what do you call it? Sanctions. Bernard Shaw on CNN, the only Guyanese president to date to be interviewed on a prime news network, was Desmond Hoyt. Because he said the economic recovery program was so impressive that he had to talk to Desmond Hoyt. Did Bernard Shaw ever talk to Jagbio? No. Did he ever speak to Janet Jagan? Absolutely not. Did he ever speak to Chedi? No. Did he speak to Dana Ramatari? Well, he wouldn't even try that one. Did he speak to Irfan Ali? Please don't. Well, Bernard Shaw is dead. But please, don't interview Irfan Ali because he can't talk. I have lived to see statesmen like Fox Burnham, Randy Chandy Singh, Sir Sridhar Ramphal. He came under Burnham too. Don't forget that. Burnham raised some superior political figures in this country. Who are you sending, by the way? Derek Murray and these people. I have lived to see where my child has experienced a semi-literate president. I never thought it would happen in my lifetime. Imagine that I have to live to see that Guyana is led by somebody who can barely read. I am not racist, I'm just honest. How do I deal with that? How do I reconcile being led by somebody who can hardly read? This is not racism. You could hate me all you want, but it's just the truth. When we have the like of Sir Sridhar Ramphal, who's East Indian, by the way, of East Indian descent, Vic Parvatan and these people, Parvatan, how you could tell me that now I must come and subject myself to a president who can hardly read? We are led by somebody, and I'm saying it because I'm an educator by profession. So this is, if Ramson wants to have a role model, how could Ali be a role model and he can hardly read? Which youth could look to Ali and say, okay, then you inspire me, I want to be like you, I want to talk like you? Charles Ramson is misdirecting his attention here. This is not about hatred, it's about a fact. You don't like it? Too bad. Why should I in my lifetime be led by somebody who is semi or semi-literate? He can read some words, but not many. So, Ramson, you saying to me then that that's a role model for young people in this country? That's what you're telling me? You telling me that he's a role model and the average young person in Queen's College should read like the president? Is that what you're telling me? We have to develop honesty as people or we go nowhere. We must be willing to tell the truth or we go nowhere. I don't hate you if I tell you the truth. Why do you believe, Charles Ramson, that most teachers in this country are of African descent? If you want to talk about role models, you moron. Why? Throughout our history, I say to you again, the alphabets were developed by Africans in Egypt. Egypt never had Caucasians. Writing was developed in Egypt by Africans. So our history is rich with literacy. And we need more successful role models. Charles Ramson, you are a moron. I don't hate you, but you're stupid. To say what you said is totally asinine. And to have Ferguson sit there or whoever he was and agree with you, that is 10 times worse. I say again, imagine it as a teacher who trained thousands of the nation's children. Imagine as an education supervisor who wrote books, who wrote manuals and so on to help individuals in this country teach science. Can you imagine I now have to live to see as an educator a president who can hardly read. Do you all understand how traumatic that is for me as an educator? And you have a minister of education with 50% common sense, if so much. Can you all really understand what's happening in this country? You have a minister of youth, sports and culture who doesn't understand basic history. How you have a minister in government like Charles Ramson talking about followership? What is followership? How you have these men? How you can have these men as examples? So you're a role model, Charles Ramson. Now you want to talk about followership? What is followership? What is followership? In which dictionary of language, English language or any other language, can I find the word followership, Charles Ramson? But you want to talk about examples of success? You are an educational failure. We would not get out if this is how we behave. And I say to you as I leave you this morning, because I'm not finished with Ramson yet. I'll come back again in my Farmer Brown's hat. Whenever you see this hat, no Ramson and them in trouble. Because this hat is where I talk about Africans. And we must face facts as Africans and start growing up. You notice throughout this broadcast, I have a day, but I have Indian friends, and I have Indian cousin, and I have Indian mama, and my grandma. I don't have time for foolishness. I don't have to issue disclaimers to you because only racists do that. I don't have to tell you that like I don't do that. I love people, and Guyana would not get better until we learn to love people in general. Based on your character. If you're a thief, I don't deal with you. If you're a crook, I don't deal with you. I don't care how you look. If your mind bad, I don't deal with you. I deal with honest people. I love the saints of Yahweh, and I respect people who are honest and upright. I don't have to tell y'all anything different. But it is time for us as Guyanese to be honest. If we can't be honest about our history, we can't be honest about our future. Once you see me come live with this hat right here, know that it's time for Africans and others to learn. And let's deal with some facts that hurt you. Because we ain't going down this road. We're not going to continue to dance around the mulberry bush as if we can't be honest. And I close. If I cannot be honest with you and you okay with it, you are racist. I don't care how you look. African, Indian, Chinese, Portuguese, whatever you are. If I can't tell you the truth and you're okay with that, you're racist. And I don't play that game. Let me go get my work done. But I'm warning y'all. We're going to abide by the truth. The few of us who left in this country that could handle truth, we can handle truth in this broadcast. When I come like this, we're talking straight. Hardcore truth. About our history, about how we need to develop ourselves and start thinking straight. Because some of us have lost track. Like Ferguson sit in the studio and have a man disrespect him. He's one of those who've gone off the radar. He's gone off track. The people's movement indeed is for all Guyanese. But you can't come close to me if you can't handle the truth. Please share the broadcast. If you haven't done so, if you don't mind, please do me a favor. Hit your screen. You'll see the share button come up, the share icon. Please hit the share icon and let's have some wonderful interactions. I am honest. I'm not racist. I am honest. I am not racist. I am honest. I am not racist. I am honest. I'm not racist. If you don't mind, please hit your screen tap on the share button, hit post, and let Charles Ramson hear that I'll be back again with another lesson for him, because he needs some intense learning sessions here to help him. Because he's actually right now wallowing in the depths of ignorance, and I will do my best to drag him out of it. Goodbye. Thank you.